Less space, more money. It's hardly much of a sales pitch, but when it comes to SUVs, it can work. Witness the BMW M6, which many people turn their noses up, and now others are copying it. Others, like the Mercedes-Benz GLE. The GLE gets 5 doors, but it's referred to as a coupe. It's all about the marketing. Just like the X6, its roof tapers noticeably at the rear, so there's less space for luggage, but it gives it a distinctive appearance. Underneath, it's based on a fairly familiar model, the Mercedes-Benz ML, except that is also undergoing a name change. It'll be called GLE, whereas this one is the GLE Coupe. It's all part of a major model restructure by Mercedes-Benz, basically renaming. All in the idea is simplification. At least that's the idea. There's a range of engines, including 2 AMG models, the mighty GLE 63 AMG with a twin-turbo V8, and this one I'm driving, the GLE 450 AMG Sport. Now it gets an AMG tweaked version of the 3-litre twin-turbo V6, and while it can't match the V8 for outright grunt, there's a thoroughly handy 270 kilowatts of power and 520 newton metres of torque. And it's actually really fun and pretty brisk. It's got fantastic flexibility in those middle rev ranges, but also gets up on boogies when you get into it. And if you want, you can chuck it in Sport Plus mode, where it gets a little bit more feisty again, so you hook into it and listen to those key changes. It's not bad for a V6. It's perhaps no surprise that it gets along nicely. It does have plenty of go when you look at the raw figures. But the GLE is also about having a bit of fun through the corners, so yes, you lose out a little bit on that practicality, but they've firmed up the suspension a bit and tried to make it a little bit more enjoyable once you do meet the bends. And it works. This one's riding on big wheels and tyres, so you sort of expect it to grip well, and it does, but it also sits quite nicely through the corners, so you can hit them pretty hard and it hangs on. So it's got that sporty flavour that you expect when you're buying a car that looks a bit sporty, and that's pretty important. Even getting inside the GLE Coupe is a little bit different, I think, because this sort of roof line, the outer roof line, sits a bit lower, so I actually banged my head once trying to get into it. And in the back in particular, you notice it tapers off pretty quickly, so it's all about, I guess, cosseting you a little bit more and making you feel a bit more like you're in a sports car, even though you're sitting up high. And that in itself creates some more issues. You are sitting up high, you certainly feel that, so once you start tipping into some corners, you've got a lot of mass to contend with, and it's all sitting up higher than it would be in your average sporty vehicle. But on the whole, it contains it pretty well. You can stiffen up that suspension, although when you do that, there is a notable trade-off in the ride quality. Certainly starts bouncing and jiggling around a bit. Inside's a bit of a mix of old and new. You've got some fairly familiar Mercedes switchgear, but at the same time, it certainly looks modern and classy. So is the GLE Coupe worth it? Well, no, not if you look at it pragmatically. You don't get as much metal for your money, so it's bang for your buck wise, you're not getting as much, but that's not why people are buying these cars. They're buying them to stand out, to be a bit different, to have something that's a bit different to the neighbours. Which opens up another argument. Does it look any good? Well, that'll obviously depend on the individual, and for me it actually depends on what angle you're looking at it from. I don't mind it from the front, I don't mind it from the side, but once you get behind it, to me it's just a bit oddball, a bit tall boy, a bit bloated. It just doesn't quite work. So it's not a car for everyone, and it's not a car for every angle you look at it. Goal achieved then.